Everyone, I just wanted to go over this assignment with you all here, specifically the IRB application, mostly because I wanted to make sure this was clear and that you all had an understanding of how to kind of go about this. So let me just kind of quickly jump over here and I'll show you the assignment and kind of talk through this a little bit real quickly. So with research, when we conduct research, we always need to submit an IRB application. IRB stands for Institutional Review Board, and it's just a board of ethics that assesses and makes sure that you're conducting your research appropriately. And for us, since we're doing a class project, we don't have to go through the actual IRB, but instead we're going to kind of mimic this process and learn about this process so that you have some familiarization with it if you go through this process on your own in the future. And so what I want you to see here is that I've uploaded two documents here, and these are kind of the documents you would use if you were completing a real IRB. So the first one is request for exemption, and the second one is explanation of research. So the first request for exemption here is really a form that you would fill out, and you would complete this form and submit it to the IRB. Oftentimes that involves them reviewing it, providing feedback to you, you make changes, and you go back and forth until you've agreed upon what you can and can't do, and they have approved your study to be completed. You'll notice there's a lot of questions. It's kind of a complex form, and you'd go through and fill in required information and details about your study so that they are aware of what you plan to do. And you can see kind of as I scroll through this, there's a lot to fill out and a lot of information to complete. Most of this, since we're doing a group assignment and a group sort of survey, is going to be pretty straightforward, but you won't actually have to go through and complete this form. But I did want to show you the form so that you're aware of it and you understand this is typically what you would complete if you were completing a full IRB. In addition to this form, the second form on the list you'll see is the explanation of research. And this document looks similar, but is a little bit shorter. It's only about 2 pages. And on this document, everything in red basically are instructions, and you would read through those and you would add information to explain about your study and replace it and then remove all of the red. So you get this nice clean document sort of at the end. Now, the purpose of this document is not for the IRB necessarily, but is actually meant to inform your participants before they take place in your study. You'd have this at the beginning of your study. Participants would read through it, make sure they agree and that they're comfortable with the study, and then they would go ahead and agree to participate. And you'll see in the next coming weeks when you pilot the survey that we'll have something very similar to this filled out and completed at the beginning of our survey as an informed consent for participants to read and observe sort of what's taking place in the study. So pay attention to that, be on the lookout for that as we do that pilot study in the coming weeks. But for now, for this assignment, what I've done is I've selected sort of the 4 most important points from that IRB document, and those are what you'll have to complete and answer for this assignment. So as you can see, there's 4 questions. There's the first one that is on the protocol of the summary. So describe the scope, your hypothesis research question of the study, along with how you anticipate answering or addressing those questions. So each of these I would expect to be about a paragraph in length. And so you can explain sort of what your research question is, how you expect to go about completing it, using surveys, using scales, and things like that. Objective background. So this is now where you get to kind of fill in a little bit too also from your literature review and your introduction. What is kind of the background of the study and what is the topic area that you're hoping to expand and learn more about? So explain kind of the objective, what knowledge is going into this, and what knowledge are you hoping to get out of this? Then we have the study procedure. So this is really kind of the process that participants will undergo to complete the study. So keep in mind kind of how you think this will go, what kind of process you expect participants to complete in order to finish your survey. And this will make more sense as we go, but I want you guys to try and answer this and think through this process at this stage as well. And then finally, recruitment methods. So since you'll be collecting data and getting people to take part in your survey as well, this is a great place to think through how you expect or how you plan to recruit participants to take part in the study. So I just want you to kind of think through this and answer this for this question here. Now, as a reminder, the way this is going to work is we're going to do a group survey. So the survey we're going to pilot next week, and you'll see what that's like. And then we're going to collect data kind of going forward after that. But you won't be building your own surveys. We're going to have a group class survey, but that is still kind of the process we're going to take. And I want you to think through how you can explain that process in these questions. All right. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to chat or answer, any questions that you have. But hopefully this is straightforward and this gets you a little bit more familiar with this IRB process without being too daunting going through that entire form.